It's for gold. Football faces a serious Cristiano Ronaldo problem. The man everyone keeps trying to bury arrives at the 2026 World Cup with one final trophy to chase and Portugal's strongest squad of his lifetime. At 41, Ronaldo should be quietly fading. Instead, he continues scoring, winning, shattering records, and transforming every match into worldwide debate. Rival supporters ridicule the Saudi League. Analysts question his age. Critics declare him washed. Yet this remains the player who dominated England with Manchester United, controlled Europe with Real Madrid, succeeded in Italy with Juventus, delivered Portugal's first major trophy at Euro 2016, captured 2 Nations League crowns, and became international football's all-time leading scorer. Over 900 career goals, 143 for Portugal, 140 in Champions League, 14 at Euros, goals across 5 different World Cups, more than 200 international appearances, and still, one trophy continues refusing entry to his cabinet: the World Cup. This time, Ronaldo doesn't approach the tournament isolated. Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, João Neves, Bernardo Silva, and Nuno Mendes have reshaped Portugal into among international football's most complete sides. Under Roberto Martinez, Portugal achieved perfection in Euro qualifying with 10 consecutive victories, netting 36 goals while conceding merely 2, then defeated Spain, claiming the 2025 Nations League before dominating World Cup qualification with Europe's most lethal attacking output. That's what creates danger. Cristiano Ronaldo no longer needs carrying Portugal through every moment of every match. Now he executes what the greatest tournament performers do best: controlling decisive instants, exploiting pressure, shifting momentum, and altering game's emotional trajectory with single actions, finishes, bursts of conviction. This explains why the 2026 World Cup may become Cristiano Ronaldo's final opportunity at completing football, and the chapter his critics fear he might still author. Football has attempted retiring Cristiano Ronaldo for years now, not officially, not courteously, but through every mishap, every lost final, every camera lingering excessively on his reactions, every viral post, every comparison, every finished headline, and every argument beginning with his age before addressing his football. That's the peculiar aspect of his late career. It no longer receives judgment like normal football careers. It's become worldwide debate. Every goal becomes proof he's present. Every defeat becomes proof he should have departed already. Because Messi completed his narrative winning the 2022 World Cup with Argentina, defeating France on penalties following a 3-3 Qatar final, Ronaldo's failures ceased being merely failures. They became legacy arguments. A mishap wasn't simply a mishap. It became content. A lost final wasn't just a lost final. It became another episode in the ongoing online trial of Cristiano Ronaldo. His Al Nassr move worsened it. When he departed Europe after his second Manchester United spell collapsed, most didn't perceive it as a new chapter. They perceived it as an ending. The Saudi Pro League became ammunition. If he scored, people called it stat padding. If he lost, people called it proof. If he celebrated, people called it insecurity. The man genuinely cannot win except he keeps winning, which precisely drives everyone absolutely mad, because the noise seemingly feeds him. That's always been his problem, and his superpower simultaneously. May 2026 provided sharp reminder of what this story actually represents. Days before lifting the Saudi Pro League title, Al Nassr lost the AFC Champions League 2 final 1-0 to Gamba Osaka. The internet executed what it does. Washed, finished, glory hunter too old, still chasing. Then on the league season's final day, Ronaldo answered in the only language his career has truly spoken. Al Nassr defeated Damak 4-1. He scored twice, a free kick in the 63rd minute after Damak pulled one back, then another finish in the 81st, sealing it. The club finished on 86 points ahead of Al Hilal, capturing their first league title since 2019. File that one for the doubters. That's the Ronaldo contradiction at 41. The explosive winger who terrorized fullbacks at Old Trafford is gone. The Madrid machine converting half chances into European knockouts is gone. But the competitive instinct remains. The penalty box timing remains. The hunger transforming embarrassment into response remains. And that matters because the 2026 World Cup isn't just another tournament for him. It's the one trophy remaining. To comprehend why it still matters this profoundly, you must remember what Ronaldo meant to Portugal before this current generation became fashionable. Today, Portugal can survey their squad and see Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, João Neves, Leão, Nuno Mendes, Ruben Dias, João Costa, João Felix, Pedro Neto, Francisco Conceição, and Gonçalo Ramos. That's a serious squad. Depth, control, pace, creativity, elite European experience throughout. But Portugal didn't always enter tournaments with that balance. For years, Their primary plan was frequently simple. Ronaldo must do something. His senior debut occurred on August 20th, 2003, at 18 years old against Kazakhstan. The year following, at Euro 2004, Portugal's tournament on home ground, the coronation everyone anticipated, Greece defeated them in the final. Ronaldo was a teenager, weeping on the pitch, carrying the first major heartbreak of his international career that would spend the next 2 decades, measured against impossible standards. 2006 World Cup became Portugal's youngest World Cup scorer, then reached the semi-finals. But even that arrived wrapped in controversy. The England quarter-final, the Rooney incident, the booing, the villain treatment. From extremely early, he wasn't merely playing football, he was being interpreted. Euro 2008 quarter-finals, 2010 World Cup, 1 goal against North Korea, early exit. Euro 2012, 3 goals, semi-finals, carrying more attacking burden than ever. Then 2013 provided the clearest picture of what Portugal's relationship with Ronaldo actually resembled at its rawest. World Cup playoff against Sweden. Zlatan dragged Sweden back into the tie and made it genuinely uncomfortable. Then Ronaldo scored a hat-trick in Solna. Portugal won 3-2 on the night, 4-2 on aggregate. An entire nation advanced to the World Cup because their captain transformed a playoff into a personal statement. That was Portugal's story for years. Not always dominant, not always fluent, but always carrying the possibility that Ronaldo could drag them through the door. That's why the current debate surrounding him is more complicated than people pretend. Yes, Portugal are deeper now. Yes, Martinez has more tactical options than previous managers. Yes, the team can win without him, but Ronaldo's place in this squad wasn't constructed in comfort. It was built across years where he was the player opponents feared, the player Portugal leaned on, the player blamed when tournaments collapsed, and the player expected to rescue qualification when everything got tight. He arrives at 2026 with 226 Portugal caps and 143 international goals, the highest totals in men's international football. He scored at 5 different World Cups, something no male player had accomplished before his penalty against Ghana in 2022. He's won Euro 2016 and 2 Nations League titles. So when people reduce his presence to age alone, they miss the actual point. Ronaldo isn't just an old superstar attempting to stay relevant. He's the central figure in Portugal's modern football identity. That doesn't make the questions unfair. They're real. Can a 41-year-old press the way Portugal's younger forwards can? Can he start every major knockout match? Does his presence push Portugal toward more crossing, more fixed patterns, less fluid rotation? Legitimate questions, all of them. But the mistake is assuming the answer is simple. Because Ronaldo isn't valuable in 2026, the same way he was at 25 or 29. He's valuable now for moments. One movement between center backs, one header, one penalty, one free kick, one finish when a tight World Cup game refuses to open. That's why football can't stop arguing about him. He makes the game uncomfortable because he refuses to become only a memory, not young enough to silence every doubt with pace, but still dangerous enough to make every doubt feel risky. And for the first time in years, he enters a World Cup with a Portugal squad that might not need him to carry everything, only to decide the moments that still belong to him. The football world has spent years attempting to determine when Cristiano Ronaldo became finished. Ronaldo has spent those same years attempting to win a World Cup. Before Portugal had this golden generation, before the midfield control, the depth, the squad that makes opponents genuinely nervous, they had one constant. They didn't always enter tournaments believing they had the best squad. They entered believing they had Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo's career is almost too complete to describe normally. England, Spain, Italy, Saudi Arabia, Europe, Portugal. 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions League titles, a European Championship, 2 Nations League titles, over 900 senior career goals. The most goals in men's international football, the most appearances in men's international football, 140 Champions League goals, 143 international goals, the only male player to score at 5 World Cups. These aren't decoration, they're the foundation of why one missing trophy still keeps this story alive, because the World Cup does something no other trophy can do. It controls memory. Pelé is remembered through 3 World Cups. Maradona is remembered through Mexico, 1986. Zidane had Juventus, Real Madrid, and Champions League glory, but France 1998 made him eternal. And Messi had already won almost everything before Qatar, yet football still treated 2022 as the moment that completed his story. That's the power of the World Cup. It doesn't just add to a legacy, it defines it. And that's the pressure Ronaldo now carries, because Messi winning the World Cup didn't erase Ronaldo's greatness. It changed the public argument around it. Before Qatar, their rivalry lived inside Ballon d'Ors, Champions League nights, El Clasico memories, and style debates. After Qatar, the conversation became harsher. Messi had the one trophy Ronaldo didn't. Suddenly, every Ronaldo chapter after 2022 became a comparison. A Saudi goal became not Europe. A missed chance became this is why. A lost final became the debate is over. That's not analysis. That's legacy warfare. Strip away the noise though, and Ronaldo's career path is still genuinely absurd. At United, he wasn't a finished product when he arrived. Raw, flashy, sometimes frustrating. Ferguson transformed that talent into end product. By 2007-08, he'd become the most devastating player in English football, Premier League champion, Champions League winner, Ballon d'Or winner. The first real proof he wasn't just a winger with tricks, he was becoming a goal-scoring system. Then, Real Madrid signed him in 2009 for what was then a world record fee. And that's where the numbers became historic. Madrid had been chasing La Decima for years, and Ronaldo became the face of that obsession. The 2013-2014 Champions League was the turning point. 17 goals in one campaign. Still, the most ever in a single Champions League season. But La Decima wasn't the end. From 2014 to 2018, Ronaldo helped Madrid win 4 Champions League titles in 5 seasons, including 3 consecutive under Zidane. Knockout football became Ronaldo territory. He scored in finals, dismantled elite defenses, and made impossible scoring volume feel routine. Then Juventus, where the mission was different. They didn't sign him to win Serie A. They already did that. They signed him because they believed his Champions League aura could drag them to the trophy they kept missing. The European dream didn't arrive, but domestically, he delivered 2 Serie A titles, goals in volume, proof that his production translated outside Spain. His United return brought goals, and then tension, and then a messy separation. We all remember that press conference. Al Nassr changed the public lens completely. For critics, Saudi Arabia became the easy punchline. For Ronaldo, it became another stage to keep scoring and keep resisting the idea that he'd already become history. The international story is where this chapter gets bigger though. Euro 2016 remains the defining emotional moment. Started the final against France, got hurt after Payet's challenge in the first half, tried to play through it, eventually broke down and came off after 25 minutes, spent the rest of the match coaching from the touchline like a man physically incapable of watching quietly. Portugal won 1-0 in extra time through Eder. Ronaldo didn't finish that final on the pitch, but his presence framed the entire night. Portugal won their first major senior trophy, and his international career finally had something other than heartbreak in it. Nations League 2019, another Portugal trophy. Then in 2025 at 40, he was still there when Portugal beat Spain in the Nations League final in Munich. Spain led twice. Portugal answered twice. Ronaldo scored Portugal's second equalizer, his 138th international goal, before Portugal won 5 penalties. He was in tears afterward, said winning for Portugal meant more than club titles. That match alone destroys the lazy version of the Ronaldo debate. This wasn't a ceremonial captain being carried to another medal. He scored in a major final against Spain when Portugal needed a moment. He gave them one. Now the question heading into 2026 is whether Portugal can use him without becoming trapped by him. Because this Portugal team is genuinely different. Under Martinez, their Euro 2024 campaign was almost perfect. 10 wins from 10, 36 goals scored, only 2 conceded. Portugal aren't entering this tournament, waiting for Ronaldo to rescue them. They have real control now. Vitinha gives them rhythm under pressure. João Neves gives them energy and press resistance. Bruno Fernandes gives them final third risk and late box arrivals. Bernardo Silva gives them calm intelligence and the ability to manipulate tempo without forcing anything. That midfield is the biggest tactical shift in Portugal's modern identity. Older Portugal squads had stars, but not always control. This version can dominate possession, circulate through pressure, and create without panicking, which is exactly what you need in a World Cup when knockout games are rarely open for 90 minutes. Wide areas add another dimension. Lien carries power and direct threat from the left. Neto brings acceleration and transition danger. Conceição brings 1v1 aggression. João Felix connects midfield and attack between the lines, and Nuno Mendes, who scored Portugal's first equalizer against Spain in that Nations League final and created the situation that led to Ronaldo's goal, is one of the most explosive left-sided players in world football. Defensively, Ruben Dias gives leadership and authority. Diogo Costa has become the penalty reference point for the national team. Portugal look more balanced now than at almost any point in the Ronaldo era. So the question isn't talent, it's balance. Ronaldo at 41 cannot be used like Ronaldo at 26. He won't press constantly from the front. He won't carry the ball from wide and beat 3 players in transition, but he still offers something very specific: elite box occupation. His timing between center backs is still dangerous. His aerial threat still changes how opponents defend crosses. His presence still forces center backs to stay attached, opening spaces for runners around him. If Portugal become too Ronaldo-focused, they risk becoming predictable. Early crosses, fixed attacks, slower pressure after losing the ball. But if they use him intelligently as the final reference point inside a team full of creators, the threat becomes completely different. Bruno finds him early. Bernardo manipulates the tempo. Vitinha draws pressure. Leão and Mendes stretch the left. Neto or Conceição attack the right. And suddenly Ronaldo isn't carrying Portugal anymore. He's finishing the work of a machine finally built around more than one man. That's why 2026 feels different from every previous tournament. Ronaldo has conquered almost every mountain football could create. One summit still refuses to move. For years, Ronaldo carried Portugal. Now Portugal might finally be strong enough to carry Ronaldo toward history. The World Cup has a Ronaldo problem, because Cristiano Ronaldo is no longer supposed to be this relevant. At 41, he should be a montage. A name younger players mention with respect before moving on. Instead, he arrives at another World Cup as Portugal's captain. Still scoring, still forcing every opponent to ask the same uncomfortable question. How do you defend a player whose legs have changed, but whose timing hasn't? He doesn't need to dominate 90 minutes to decide a match anymore. He needs one cross, one loose ball, one penalty, one center back switching off for half a second. That's the version Portugal are carrying into 2026. Not the winger who destroyed fullbacks, not the Madrid machine who thrived in transition, but a penalty box specialist who still understands space better than most defenders understand danger. And Portugal finally have the structure to make that matter. Old Portugal felt like a team waiting for Ronaldo to solve the game. This Portugal builds the game before the ball even reaches him. Ronaldo no longer has to be Portugal's entire attack. He becomes the final action. That's the tactical headache for opponents. Defend deep and Portugal's creators keep moving the block, push high, and Leão, Neto or Conceição punish the space. Overprotect wide areas and Bruno and Vitinha find central pockets. Forget him for half a second and he still punishes you. If he starts scoring early at this World Cup, the tournament shifts immediately. Media pressure explodes. The Messi comparison returns. Every Portugal match becomes a legacy event. That's the emotional danger of him still being here. Football loves endings, and Ronaldo understands the theater of endings better than almost anyone. This is potentially his 6th World Cup. He became the first male player to score at 5 consecutive tournaments in Qatar 2022. Now Portugal land in Group K alongside DR Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. That group won't be judged normally. Portugal win comfortably, and people ask if Ronaldo can complete the impossible. They struggle and people question whether his presence is the problem. He scores, and the debate gets louder. He doesn't, and the criticism gets brutal. There is no quiet outcome when Cristiano Ronaldo is involved. Winning the World Cup wouldn't just add another trophy. It would fill the only empty space left in one of football's most overloaded careers. Failure wouldn't destroy his legacy. That idea is frankly ridiculous, but it would leave the final question permanently unanswered. The terrifying part isn't that Ronaldo is still here. The terrifying part is that Portugal may finally be ready at exactly the same time.